Sup guys, and welcome to another episode of Muslim Point of View. Just a heads up, today I feel a bit sick, so if you guys don't see me with that much energy, it's really just because of my sickness, but I'm gonna do this video anyways because I promised you guys I would. And let's just jump straight into it, and let's start with our Dumbo of the week. This week's Dumbo is none other than an Australian man who found a bank error that was allowing him to withdraw an infinite amount of money. Excuse me, sir. How much would you like to withdraw?
I would like to withdraw $1 billion. Ha ha ha. Also, can I know my balance?
Your balance is at infinity, sir. Now, apparently when this man was caught, he was supposed to serve a minimum of 7 years in jail. But because of a good lawyer and some good behavior, well, he was able to get out just after 5 months. And the irony of the story is that this guy, when he came out, he actually went back to university. And guess what he's studying? That's right, he's studying criminal law. Now, if you ask me, that's almost as ridiculous as a KKK member studying black history or multiculturalism. Now, what strikes me the most in this whole story is that this man, he only withdrew a total of $2.1 million. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if there was a bank error that allowed me to withdraw an infinite amount of money, I think I would probably rack up closer to the billions, if not trillions of dollars. Now, it's not even like this guy was actually being somewhat cautious with the way he was spending that money. Now, according to the news, this guy had a huge debt, and all of a sudden he had paid that off. He bought himself an Aston Martin, a Maserati, a Lamborghini, and even a boat. No offense, but if you guys ever come across a mistake like this, just don't be like this guy. Also, this guy had been abusing the system for months upon months upon months, and that's actually the reason why he got caught. So the moral of the story is, if you're stuck doing something wrong, or if you're in too deep, just stop before it's too late. Don't get caught, please. But enough of our Dumbo, and let's go straight into our boss of the week. And this week's boss is none other than Bill Gates, donating $1 billion to clean energy. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, well, clean energy, that's kind of useless. Well, the reality is it isn't. I mean, you've got countries like China, for example, whose air is so polluted because of the capital gain and because of production that they need to buy canned air. That's right, some Canadians started selling that as a joke, and now all of a sudden it's got a market of its own. I mean, it's really important to have clean energy because of the fact that fossil fuels themselves are actually going to disappear within a few years. One begs the question, how are we supposed to live the exact same lives that we live right now using the exact same consumption of energy if we don't have such a thing as clean energy? And what's actually really crazy about this story is that this is just one guy donating $1 billion of his fortune. And this speaks really highly of the importance of doing good with the blessings that you have. If you were blessed with money and you were one of those rich dudes, then maybe it's a good thing to be utilizing that blessing of yours to have a positive impact on the world. Now, that being said, let's go straight to our global news of the week. For this week's global news, we have to talk about what's going on right now in Syria. Folks, the situation is getting worse and worse on a daily basis. People are being executed in the hundreds on a daily basis. Some people are getting burnt alive. Some of their houses are being bombed. The worst part of this whole thing is that the media isn't actually doing anything about it. I mean, there's no media coverage. The governments aren't doing anything about it. They're just letting these Syrian people die on a daily basis because of a dictator. I really want to show you guys a video that has gone viral in the last couple of days. The video shows a few Syrian people bidding farewell to the world as they prepare themselves to die.
Here in besieged Aleppo. We may not be able to send any more messages as regime forces push closer and closer. The airstrikes become more intense, if there's even such a thing as that. And so this might be close to, if not the last communication.
Can you imagine yourself, you, the innocent viewer who's been watching this episode, imagine if one day you were just there in your house and you were literally fearing the moment that you were gonna die because at any point in time in that day you were gonna possibly be bombed. And the worst part about all of this is that the people who are actually suffering, the people who are actually getting hurt, the people who are dying are the innocent bystanders who have nothing to do with the war. Us as human beings who live in the West have the duty to spread this news, to share it, to show exactly what's been going on in the country. Being silent isn't going to help anybody. In fact, being silent is just going to make things worse. And I know some of you guys don't want to take any sides, and some of you guys might say, well, oh, it's a political issue, I just don't want to get involved. Well, it doesn't matter if you want to get involved or not. The reality is there are innocent people dying, and when innocents die, it's your duty to talk about it. It's your duty to do something about it. Maybe your job is to actually put some political pressure on your MPs or your presidents or even your senates. Do whatever you can to get them to at least do something about it. And if not do something about it, then at least talk about it and raise the issue. And this brings me to my rant of the week, which is actually a question. Why is it that when it comes to minorities, their lives are always seen as inferior to the average white male? I mean, if you read any headlines of the mainstream media, you'll see a whole headline, a whole story based on one white guy who lost his life because of some terrorist or because of some, action or accident that happened to him. But then when it happens to accidents or even killings or even genocides that are happening on a daily basis to the minority groups, there is no mention of them whatsoever. And the most they'll put is a little tiny headline right there in the little corner, right above where the price hike for the gas and the weather is. If you were a part of Facebook, for example, when the Paris killings happened and they were allowing people to change their profile pics to like a France flag to stand with the French people who died. Everyone was hashtagging, pray for Paris or Je suis Charlie or something like that. Look, I'm not saying that what happened over there is justified or right. In fact, it's terrible what happened. I mean, innocent lives were being lost anyways. Any innocent's life is equal to another innocent's life, and that's the important moral of the story. If one or two people deserve to be in the headline because they were innocent and they died, then the millions of people that are dying on a daily basis deserve a better coverage and more media attention than the previous. This just goes to show you how mainstream media is dead. But enough of my rant, and let's go to something a little more positive, and let's get to our what of the week. And in this week's what, we got a story about some Swedish people who decided to open up a little mouse shop. And guys, that's not the name of a store. What I'm actually talking about is these people created a tiny little store for mice. These little tiny shops are 70 centimeters by 30 centimeters. That means barely 2 feet by 1 foot. I mean, I can only imagine those guys when they had to hire contractors. Hey guys, we need to build a 70 by 30. We're gonna need some wood, lots of wood. You mean 70 meters by 30 meters?
No, I mean like centimeters.
There are so many questions that are already popping in my head with regards to this news. First off, I mean, what's on the menu? Well, sir, we got some cheese straps, some cheese balls that are from the leftovers from yesterday, some Cheetos that we found lying right there in the garbage, and then of course some cheese. Then my next question would be, I mean, who's the head chef? Is it like Ratatouille or something like that? I mean, is he the one who's cooking all of this food for the mice? Like I said, I mean, there's so many questions. Like, how do they pay? I mean, do mice even have money, or is it some kind of cheese currency or something? Do they like trade little tokens of cheese to each other, and that's how they kind of do business? At that point, why even trade it? I mean, you could just eat it. And the last question, I'm sure this is the question that's on everyone's mind: do they pay taxes? If you guys want to know what my guess is, it's even animals don't get a tax break. And this brings us to our last story, which is the LOL of the week. And in this week's LOL of the week, we've got a man who was arrested for dressing up as a tree and causing traffic in the middle of the road. I mean, as if there wasn't enough traffic to begin with, now we have a human tree blocking the road. A tree in the middle of the road was this guy's best disguise. I mean, no offense, but I think he would have blended it a lot better if he was dressed as Lightning McQueen from Cars. Now, when this guy got caught, the authorities assessed $60 for his bail. No offense, but if my bail was $60 for this kind of crime, I mean, I would probably end up doing it again, because if I posted the exact same video on YouTube, I would probably walk away with thousands of dollars. I can only imagine what this guy's reasoning was for literally disguising as a tree. I mean, when he was young, was he having a chat with his parents and saying, my parents told me I can grow up to be anything I wanted, so I grew up to become a tree? Now, if you ask me, guys, I think the real reason why he got arrested is because he didn't want to leave. And honestly, it's a very good thing that this guy wasn't caught for treason. I mean, thank God this guy was alone. Imagine if there was three of him. All in all, I hope this guy learned some deeply rooted lessons. The funniest part of this whole entire story was this guy's name. His name was Asher Woodworth. It's like this guy was born to become a tree. That's all for the news for today, and if you guys like this video, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and once again, don't forget, keep it halal. And here's a question of the week for you guys. If this guy fell in a forest and nobody was around to hear him, does he make a sound? Also guys, don't forget to check out these awesome t-shirts, and once again, we'll see you guys next week on Muslim Point of View.